You know how we're always told to care more, try harder, and just be more positive? Well, what if the real secret to a happier life is actually caring less? Today, we are diving deep into Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and let me tell you, this book flips everything you thought you knew about self-help right on its head. Okay, I know what you're thinking. That sounds completely wrong, right? How could being more indifferent possibly make you happier? But stick with me here. This isn't about being lazy or not caring about anything. As you're about to find out, it's about a much, much smarter way of living your life.
All right, section 1, failure is success's secret. To really get our heads around this wild idea, we need a story. And this story is about a guy who only found massive success after he totally, completely embraced being a failure. So let's talk about this guy, Charles Bukowski. For decades, his life was pretty much a mess. He was desperately trying to be a writer, but every single door got slammed in his face. By any normal measure, the man was a total failure.
For over 30 years, this was his reality. Just constant rejection from publishers, bouncing between dead-end jobs. It was not a pretty picture. Then, when he hits 50 years old, he just gives up. He accepts it. Okay, he figures, I'm a failure. And then, the craziest thing happens. The moment he surrenders, an editor takes a long-shot chance on him. And because Bukowski no longer cared about succeeding, he wrote with this raw, unfiltered honesty, and his work just exploded. And get this, when Bukowski died, this is what he had carved on his gravestone: don't try. I mean, what does that even mean? How do you achieve everything you ever wanted by not trying? Well, the answer lies in the psychological trap that honestly gets almost every single one of us. Section 2, the vicious hellish loop. So what was really going on inside Bukowski's head? And maybe more importantly, what's going on inside ours? The book calls it the hellish loop, and it's this uniquely human problem that keeps us feeling stuck. Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt bad for feeling bad? Or felt anxious about being anxious? Yeah, that feeling right there, that's the loop. See, we humans have this weird superpower where we can have thoughts about our own thoughts, but that superpower can turn into a curse real fast. Here's exactly how it gets you. So, step 1, you feel a negative emotion. Let's say you get angry about something small. Then comes step 2. You immediately start judging yourself. You think, why am I getting so angry over this? I should be better than this. And boom, now you're angry at yourself for being angry. And just like that, you're in the spiral. You're anxious about your anxiety. You feel guilty about your guilt. It's a miserable cycle that just feeds itself. All right, moving on to section 3, the illusion of toxic positivity. So what is feeding this nasty loop? Why does it feel so incredibly common today? Well, the book argues that a huge piece of the puzzle is our modern culture, especially the perfect lives we see plastered all over the internet. Just think about it. Way back when, if someone had a bad day, they'd feel bad for a bit, and then they'd just get on with their life. But today, we have a bad day, and what's the first thing we do? We open our phones, and we're hit with this endless flood of perfect vacations, perfect families, and perfect careers. And all of a sudden, our little failure feels like a personal catastrophe. And that's the trap right there. We're making this totally unfair comparison. We're taking someone else's highlight reel, the best moments of their life, and putting it up against our own behind-the-scenes footage, bloopers and all. It's a game that is absolutely rigged to make us feel awful. This whole thing creates what's now called toxic positivity. It's this constant cultural pressure to always be happy, always be productive, always winning. It makes having a normal human feeling, like being sad or anxious, feel like a personal failing, like you've done something wrong. And that feeling of failure just shoves you deeper and deeper into that hellish loop. Okay, section 4, choose your suffering wisely. So if trying to force positivity all the time is actually the problem, then what in the world is the solution? Well, this is where the book's big idea really clicks. It's not about getting rid of your problems, it's about choosing which problems you want to deal with. Just let that one sink in. Trying to avoid pain is its own kind of pain. Think about the stress you feel trying to avoid stress, or the exhaustion that comes from pretending you're happy when you're not. That becomes its own unique and pretty miserable form of suffering. And this right here gets to the real meaning of the book's title, Not giving a fuck doesn't mean you're apathetic and don't care about anything. No way. It means you become incredibly selective about what you give a fuck about. You stop wasting all your precious energy on trivial nonsense so you can focus it on what actually matters to you.
So how do we actually pull this off? It really boils down to these 3 things. First, you have to make peace with your reality, just as it is. Second, you have to accept that life has a negative side. It's normal, it's not a sign you're broken. And finally, and this is the most important part, you have to consciously choose what is worth your attention and your energy.
This completely reframes how we look at struggle, doesn't it? Struggle isn't something to be avoided at all costs. It's the price you pay for anything worthwhile. A fulfilling career, that involves struggle. A strong relationship, that requires struggle. The goal isn't to live a life without pain. It's to find the pain that you're willing to endure for a result that you truly value.
And that brings us right back to Bukowski. He didn't succeed by not trying to be a writer. He succeeded when he stopped trying to be the kind of writer he thought other people wanted. He stopped caring about rejection and focused only on writing his brutal, honest truth. Which leaves all of us with one final very big question. In a world that wants you to care about absolutely everything, what is truly worth your attention?